feels like, sharing your thoughts, asking any questions, feel free to, we'll do the best we can to answer the questions that are provided. We can, however you want to get started, we can kind of go around the room. I would say, considering there's a few people here, if something's already been discussed, if there's nothing else new to add, if there's any additional questions, feel free to voice them. But to make sure everybody has a chance to bring up any information or questions that have not been covered, we can just move on to the next. It's kind of an informal meeting, so we can kind of start wherever. If you're comfortable starting maybe on this end, and we can just kind of go back and forth. Who are you? My name is Jim Trotter. I'm a civil engineer for the project.
Okay, that's all we need.
Okay.
Do you know Steve Monroe?
Stephen, I do know Stephen. Yeah, I haven't talked to him in a while, but I do know Stephen. Excellent. So if it's all right with you guys, we can kind of start over here and kind of work our way down if that works for you. Do you have any questions, or if you don't have to speak, I'm just trying to...
I'll start really quickly.
Okay, sure.
It's not the
Your main thrust, I guess, is to change the zoning.
Would you stand up?
Okay, yes. My name is Richard Williams. I live on Orange View Drive, which is off of
Can
Camp.
you talk real loud?
I can scream if you would like. I've been told I'm very loud anyway. My question is, you are looking to change the zoning from one AA to one single A, correct?
Correct.
And why is that? Is it because the 2A does not support Miranda's business plan? You can't get enough homes in there because of density? Because you basically say in the letter that has been circulated that they're equivalent. They're not equivalent because 1A is a 5,500 square foot minimum and 2A is 7,500 square foot minimum. Okay, I have 0.72 acres down on the end there. I'm not really looking to have little boxes put up around the little circle, okay? So I'm not exactly fond of changing that zoning. So what is your rationale for changing that zoning?
Well, sure. So just one minor detail there. So the proposed lots that we're looking to put in this development are a minimum of 75 feet wide. So
And how deep?
The depth that's required is 100 feet.
So that's 7,500 square feet.
Well, actually the depth on all the perimeter lots around here that are adjacent to existing properties are 124 or 125 feet.
And how big is the footprint of each house? My next question would be, okay? My family owns we've gone through all this with the village and whatever else in West Melbourne.
Okay.
My brother owns Springer Garden over there on Eden.
Okay.
Okay, now we had to go through and put pervious concrete in there, all sorts of stuff. We had to do tree surveys. There's a litany of things that I'm completely aware of and I'm going to bring up ad nauseum.
Okay. Yeah, we're not looking to skirt the code. We're going to meet the letter of the code.
But if you go to the 2A in the town and you read there, I mean, I actually probably have it here and I can read it.
Okay.
It's just a sentence and it won't take very long to do. That's my note sign. Okay. The provisions of the R1 AA district are intended to apply to an area of low-density, single-family residential development. Lot sizes and other restrictions are intended to protect and promote high-quality residential development. Now, how do you fit into that? You're not. You're not going to.
That's the zoning district we're looking to go into. So.
Yeah, no. That's what currently it is. And you're looking to make it 1A.
Oh, sure. So there's some conversation about the lot sizes we're proposing in this development. And we're proposing a minimum 75 foot wide by 124 foot deep lot. Some of them are larger around the curves where they kind of pie shape out. The ones over towards the shopping center, the Target to the west of us. But what we were discussing, and I think and I think there maybe is a little bit of confusion on what we're doing. We're not looking to put in a 50-foot wide lot. These are 75-foot wide. Currently allowed is 85 feet wide.
Well, then why would you look to change the zoning?
Well, the
What's
reason
your
we're looking
rationale?
to change the zoning is two main reasons. One of them is to give us some flexibility to work around some of the mature oak trees out there, because you can't put them, obviously, in a building footprint. You can put them in your setbacks, you can put them along property lines, but with the slightly less wide lot, we can work around them a little bit better, because this site is developed on four sides, so we kind of have to work within the envelope that we have. And the other reason we were looking to change the zoning was a lot of the existing neighborhoods around here were built without any stormwater treatment. The current requirements by the state and by the city require us to set aside 20 to 30% of our site to provide stormwater attenuation, to clean up the water before it leaves the site, and make sure there's not any more water leaving the site when we're done with
Can
it.
you just step back a little and, and tell us what you're proposing? Nobody knows, just what your development is, why you chose the area. I mean, just step back, you're getting ahead of yourself. We don't, know what your development is, why you chose this area, what your big plan is, and then maybe we can all ask the questions.
Sure, that's fine. So, yeah, I've been working in this area for a while. The home builder has been a local builder for a very long time. This is a nice area. That was what brought them to look at this development.
That's why we want to keep it the way it is. It won't be when you're
I'm trying here to keep this organized so we can have some dialogue back and forth. If there's yelling and everything's kind of all over the place, it really limits us sharing information. That's the goal tonight, is to share information. Am I correct? Yeah. No? Okay.
You tell us when you're going to ruin it. No, let's
Well, yeah, if I may too, I'm with the builder. My name's Dan LaFree, and to go back, how we found this property. This property was put on the market for sale by the owner. Michael Dreyer had a listing and sent it out to everyone in his email list, myself included, amongst all the other builders and developers in the community. It had labeled on there what the density allowed by the future land use is. He had a price listed. We looked at it and we said, wow, okay, this is a great community. This is a beautiful area. West Melbourne's a desirable market. There's not a lot of additional land parcels available in West Melbourne.
No traffic.
And the future land use allows for residential. So we thought, hey, we're going to go in there, and with very limited fanfare, we'll be able to get in there and be able to put a subdivision in there. Because the comprehensive plan that the City of West Melbourne has put together, and Christy Fisher and her staff over at the City of West Melbourne have put this piece of property on as a future residential development. So what we do for a living is we build houses. We've been here for 30 years, building houses throughout Brevard County, Indian River County, St. Lucie County. And so we got the property under contract. We went through, we had a meeting with the City of West Melbourne, and we talked about the things that Jim had just identified, which is, hey, we understand this is an estate lot community. The lots surrounding it are large estate-like lot communities, and we too are going to need to have large, over 7,500 square foot lots in this community to keep with the theme of what's currently there. What the difference is across the street, Oak Crest Lane, they have very shallow lots. So previously, wider, shallower lots, so not 120 feet deep, but 90 to 100 feet deep, but 85 feet wide is kind of how they established their footprints for the community of Oak Crest Lane. We, having to accommodate stormwater and also try to keep the feel of the community in line with design patterns here, said our products, we can build an 85-foot wide product, but with the seller and discussing where they needed to be, it just didn't make sense. We could not get to a price and a unit count that made sense economically to develop it. So we went to the city, said, hey, here we are, we'd like to change this, and they were very cautious, said, look, we're not going to allow townhouses here, we're not going to allow 50-foot houses here, we're not going to allow 40-foot wide lots here. You guys are going to have to keep with the theme here, that is the Campbell Drive community, larger estate-sized lots.
Did you ask for townhouses at first?
No.
That's what I was told.
By whom?
I was told by a city official that you guys came in, you wanted to rezone it light commercial right from very respected city official. And I was also told that you guys were trying to purchase the first 3 houses on Campbell.
Yeah, I got a letter on that.
Okay, and that's going to mean they're going to develop from Campbell all the way down to that side if they get a chance, people. Remember that. That's what we.
Okay, so as you say, just for Mr. Thornburg, who owned that
Yep.
property,
Yep.
developed Oak Crest, which are all custom homes. His driveway, which is designed to lay out to mirror Oak Crest.
Yep.
So why would you need to reduce the lot sizes?
To fit more houses to make more money, Jim.
Well,
It's about
Right.
That's
right.
right.
But
That was-
why not, in respecting his wishes, develop it the way it was designed to be developed?
Or bigger.
Which
Less
was
house.
10 to
Less
12
houses.
houses, that's it.
Right. Okay, no, so yes, the property across the street has 12 houses directly across Oak Crest Lane. And if you look on it, it doesn't exactly show it. So you have 12 houses here on Oak Crest Lane. There's 6 on either side. If you flip that over, this property is worth, it's the size of 2 of the properties here on Oak Crest Lane. So I'm not a mathematician, but 12 times 2 is 24, which is exactly what we have here. We're not looking to
I don't know
make
where
this
you
a
got
high
it.
There are
density
50
area.
in the neighborhood.
This is exactly what we have
I'll
across
raise,
the
I'll raise my hand.
So anyway,
But
that, I wanted to give the background in terms of what we are, why we're here, and what we're doing. So we are
we are,
following up on the property
that
owners.
is incorrect information because
Okay.
my lot is 130 feet deep. So I don't know where you're getting that, and I'm
Okay.
on Oak Crest Lane.
Okay.
So that 100% is wrong. Just to let everybody know.
Just for a moment.
We want, can we talk for a minute?
Your
Yes.
name is,
My name's Dan.
Yeah, Mitch.
Yep, pleasure.
The reason I'm stepping in, I'll step in and step out real quick, but I've talked to almost everybody in this room.
Sure.
And I've got like 5 points that, it's a common theme in the informal survey
Yep.
tonight. So maybe I can cut to the chase. A lot of details we can get into later
Right.
if we have time. But if I may, if we can just talk about the principal concerns that these neighborhoods share.
Sure,
Is that okay
absolutely.
with you
Yeah.
folks?
Inconsistency for,
What's that?
go ahead.
Our number one concern, the destruction of an historic established West Melbourne neighborhood, one of the last remaining in West Melbourne. The proposed development is clearly out of character with the existing nature of this neighborhood and represents an existential threat to the quality of life, safety, and well-being of neighborhood homeowners.
Our neighborhood's been around since 1930. Just so that everybody know, I've researched all this. The Campbells moved over there in 1930. My family's been here since 1954. I have 3.5 acres. Hearing all this lot size doesn't mean nothing to me. It's going to hurt me.
Number two, flooding. Campbell Drive is poorly, and you guys probably know this, so forgive me, but it's poorly drained and has historically flooded, including during the 2 tropical systems last year. Planned subdivision, likely elevated relative to surrounding properties, will pave over an existing natural surface drainage system on the involved property. While the retention pond is noted in our early drawings that we've seen, what will happen when it fills? How is it connected to a viable, robust drainage system? Not how do you process the water on site. Where does that water go? Into our yards, eventually? Traffic congestion, number 3. The proposed development will severely aggravate traffic congestion at Campbell and 192, a dangerous intersection recently marked by several pedestrian warning signs.
And we've had a death up there. Lady on the bicycle.
My wife was struck a couple of yards away at a similar intersection by a truck 2 years ago, 3 years ago. It's very dangerous. It will take a relatively quiet, undeveloped, single-access road, Campbell Drive, and turn it into a congested, dangerous road too narrow for the predicted severe traffic overload and without sidewalks or bike paths. Remember, too, folks, not only the average 2 cars per home, there's going to be service vehicles, garbage trucks, Amazon, all these. This has to be counted too. This will endanger the health and safety of our neighbors and their children. Number 4, environmental. Existing wildlife includes a red-shouldered hawk, gopher tortoises, the rare pileated woodpecker, bobcat, ospreys, raccoons, and so forth. Mature hardwood trees, aged oaks, and pine trees will be lost from this hammock-like environment. And then there are personal stories that I've heard. Several of our neighbors have adult children who are disabled. And one of them told me that they've moved to this Campbell Drive neighborhood specifically because their adult son, who can't have a car, is able to ride his motorized bicycle to and from work safely because there's not a lot of traffic on that road. So, to preserve this quiet, established neighborhood from becoming just another cookie cutter, cut and paste project for developers' bottom line profit, destroying yet another piece of peaceful Florida habitat and ways of life, those who choose to cherish, protect, and live on it. That's what we're here to say. We have folks here with the note sign, red shirts in solidarity. So I just wanted to, those are the main points.
I didn't mean to go that. I'm Jeff Cobb with Cobb Properties. I do this for a living also, okay? And a lot of these people here moved to our neighborhood because they loved how quiet it was. It was small. I can point out couples all in here that's been here 5 or 6 years. Then I can point out couples that's been here over 50 years.
Multi-generational.
Yes, all
Yes.
generational. Yeah, we don't want a development. And I'm telling you now, none of these people want a development.
Sure.
You guys can talk and say what you can do, and I know what you're doing, okay? But we don't want a development, and we're gonna do everything we can to fight this thing. We're not, I'm not being, I know you're trying to make a living, I know what you gotta do, but we're gonna do everything we can to fight it.
Well, you're making it a lot smaller, and then you're putting in a bunch more housing than what's existing.
We have several buildings that live here too.
Jeff, what about you talked about the only 2 left established neighborhoods?
The city, one of the ladies at the city and the zoning board told me, there's only 2 established neighborhoods left in the city of West Marlboro like ours and one off Sheridan Road. Now, builders come in, they develop, we've seen what they do. We don't want that. We just want our little neighborhood to stay the way it is, peaceful. All these people that come down and visit us say, what a gym you have. We never knew this was here. And you know, as far as I do, you put in 40-something more cars, and then all the vehicles. We have children that still walk up to the bus stop. We don't have sidewalks. We all have flooding during the storms. We have all these concerns. We don't want it. We don't want this thing in there. Sure. No, we don't want it.
My house will be,
Yeah.
our 2 houses will be up against where it comes around and looks like there's gonna be like, quote, a walkway. Nobody's walking through there. I don't want a walkway there. And the water comes, and I'm up to here in galoshes on mine. So if you put something in there and you're gonna drain the water off, you're gonna go right to my house. You're gonna go right to her house.
Yeah, maybe the engineer can talk about the.
When they were talking about animals,
drainage.
there's those woodpeckers that they were talking about, those prehistoric looking woodpeckers.
The violated.
Yes, they've been around since I was about 12 years old in that neighborhood, right across my fence in the pine trees. That's where they were. Now, we know nature, gopher turtles, we know how they do, because I had land had to deal with gopher turtles. We know how all that goes. But I know that this is something that we have, we love, and it's our nature. And no matter what you guys do, we're gonna fight this.
To follow up on what Jeff saying, everyone who agrees with what Jeff said opposes this, can you raise your hand?
Yes, sir. Everybody agrees. Okay. So just to let you guys know.
Sure.
So can I ask a follow-up question?
Sure.
Show of hands who are opposed to any development on this lot.
What?
Any development. You want absolutely no change.
We never said that.
No.
We never said that.
It's just
That's not what we
development. What's consistent with the neighborhood?
How many houses are on that property right now?
I'm sorry?
How many houses is on that property right now?
There's 2.
Correct.
Yes.
Leave it the way it is.
Our drainage, so yeah, I mean, Jim can talk about.
You have numbers on that for the lot? You have-
Well, I mean, people have a right to sell property forever. In the current zoning district, they're allowed to put a certain number of lots
I
on
think
the
the
property.
drainage is an engineering
You know,
design issue.
going from 0 to
But we got
24 is not what
answering
we're asking.
question on the other side.
But remember, people, just because it's zoned that way doesn't mean you have to approve it or the city has.
Can I speak? Can I speak? You asked about, is anyone opposed to the lot being developed? And I don't want to speak for everybody, but develop it. But develop it with what's consistent with what's currently in the
Character
neighborhood.
with the neighborhood as it is now.
First of all, you're seeking rezoning for a reason.
That's right.
Okay?
Money.
No, high density development.
It's a lot.
Plain and simple. You want to pack a lot of houses into a small area.
Money.
Plain and
More than
simple.
money.
You're not fooling nobody.
Those
So,
are not true statements.
everybody recognizes there's a housing crisis in Florida because everyone from New York and California are coming here
That's right.
because it's too expensive in those two states.
Right.
And we're not saying people need a place to live. We get that. So develop the property with what's consistent with the current neighborhood.
That's right.
And that means small homes on large lots.
Yep.
And I know that's not in your money.
No, you don't.
You know, you're.
Listen, I'm
Well,
saying.
no.
I believe that's what we're.
I know
what the offer.
And that's what I got to say.
I know what the offer.
That's the bottom line in it all.
I think to keep some order in here, I'd really like to go back to my original idea. Let's start here. This is turning into just people talking over each other, so if we can agree to have some sort of order in this meeting, I think everybody will get to be heard if we have a little bit of order here. So if it's all right with everyone, can I start back over here?
And I want to also say, we have put this meeting together. I mean, we volunteered. We didn't have to put this meeting. I'm glad that everyone came out. I can tell that everyone's passionate about this, right? It's very clear. You guys are all wearing the same color shirts. There's a lot of signs posted. So I want you all to know that this is not being heard by us. We hear you. And we also know that you came out here on your Tuesday evening. We volunteered to come out here and have this meeting before going to a zoning board so we can hear this feedback before we do go before a zoning board. So I appreciate all that. I don't want to have people making assumptions and say things that are presumptuous about us, but I also want to have some order so we can hear each and every one of your concerns. And then, we're going to leave here. I'm not going to say we're going to leave here. We're all going to walk out of here agreeing on how we see how the project should move forward. But I hope that you all can at least feel like you're heard and that your concerns are heard. And we're listening. So that's why we're here.
What you don't know is we had a meeting at my house. We had 32 people at our meeting. And we all decided that we were going to have spokesmen to talk. Mitch, me, and a select of other people.
Okay.
We didn't want to go one by one to have you say, drainage. Well, I'll make the swell bigger, or I'll make the retention pond 2 feet deeper. We didn't want to do that. Okay. We wanted to hit our concerns to you and tell you that we don't want a development there. We don't want anything. Okay. If you guys want to come in and put, 4, 5, 6 houses, something like that, but I know it's not going to be cost effective because I know what they want for that property.
Sure.
Okay, so that's why we came up here trying to speak, and we didn't want to go through every person because it's redundant. It's going to keep going over. Water, traffic, this and that.
Are you guys good with that? If you have your
Everybody good with the race?
I'm fine with that. This is the first we're hearing of it. So
Can I just ask one question?
Yeah, I agree.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
What's the price point of the homes that you're going to build in there?
Yeah. I agree.
So they're going to be in the 500,000 to 600,000 range.
Square footage? For new square feet.
The range of square footage.
Give us the range.
2,000 to 3,500. Some 2 stories, some 1 story.
You guys do that, some will be 2 stories, some will be 1 story.
The range goes from 2,000 to 3,500 in that range.
And what's your timeline looking like once you say get approval from the city?
Sure. We go through our engineering approval process, get our approval from not just the city, but from the water management districts to make sure our drainage is handled adequately. So you're looking at probably 5-6 months, and then we would start construction on the site.
What's the spacing in between the houses?
The setbacks between, so the 75-foot wide lots, I don't remember exactly what we have.
Minimum setbacks proposed for the code are 7.5 feet on each property line, so 15 feet. That's a minimum.
15 feet, I thought it was 10.
And these setbacks are only the side property lines.
The gate is wider
There are
than
no
that.
side property lines adjacent to any existing homes.
What about
surrounding the property?
I just want to say one thing. I'm just one person, but when I built my house 27 years ago down Oak Crest Lane, I interviewed every single empty lot and every single person that had an existing home. I also interviewed Mr. Thornburg, Mrs. Solomon, who is behind me, if any everybody knows that, and Jeff Cobb, to make sure to find out the intention of the integrity of that property before I built that house. So I would like to keep it to where it's zoned the way it is right now, because that's how and why I bought where I am right this minute.
Traffic or environmental study, are you required to do so? Do we have a copy if you'd like?
We are required to, but not at this phase of the development. This is the first meeting. As we go through, I hope you're happy to hear that all of the items you brought forth tonight, the traffic, the drainage, the endangered species, these are all requirements that we have to meet expectations in city code, but we're not there. This is a long process. I'm sorry?
Are you required to put sidewalks in?
Yeah, it's in the subdivision code, but I mean.
We were told you weren't.
Well, we have sidewalks within the development.
Not on Campbell Drive.
We're not required
What about a
to.
traffic light?
We have children that walk up
We
and down.
can't just put in a traffic light.
See what I mean?
There's no sidewalk now, right? So that,
There's no
so
sidewalk.
we develop or don't.
But you're gonna put 50-something more cars there.
Right.
Well, they got people visit, you're gonna have Amazon, you're gonna have.
I'm glad to go back to this back and forth, but then I also heard that you'd rather we speak to these gentlemen up here, so.
One more
I'm
question.
fine either way, but it sounds like we're doing it both ways.
I got one more question for you. How much builder are you gonna have to bring in to raise that property up? Because we're on the south side of that property and it floods my parents' driveway out. So if you raise it up 2 foot to build houses in there, where's all this water gonna go?
Sure. Again, we haven't done the engineering design yet. This is just the first step in the process.
And as his parent who lived on that side of the property, you're talking 2-story houses. I do not want a 2-story house glancing down into my yard.
Okay. The 2-story houses are allowed in the current zoning district.
Okay.
And the elevation that this property gets built up to is based on the current Florida building code. I do not control that. That is a state requirement. They're going to be that high, whatever that elevation is, no matter if we get the rezoning and put the 24 in, or if we put a few less in for the current zoning. That's just the codes that we do not control.
I think the spacing in between the houses needs to be bigger. Okay?
This is the minimum. I'm giving you the minimums.
Right. Well, I understand you're trying to get it big.
You know, if the zoning change is approved, you've got leeway to make changes that we have no control over. We're trying to stop it before it gets that far, because it's rather vague what you're saying. How much distance between houses? What exactly are the sides? How big are the yards? Can you put a sidewalk? And not, we'll cross that bridge later.
Utilities.
Yes.
I'm trying to bring Palm Bay to our backyard.
There.
We spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to avoid, and now you want to steal it from us and shove this down our
There's a thing called a future land use in the city. We are not changing that. That is low density residential. That is exactly what we're proposing, but instead of 85 by 100, we're proposing 75 by 120. It's the same size lot with different dimensions.
And it has to be approved by the city council.
I know how long ago you guys signed the sales contract for that lot, and I know that you needed some time to do a feasibility study to find out if you can make money. I know we're coming up really close on that timeline. If that zoning does not get changed to what you guys are proposing, are you gonna back out of the deal?
What's the minimum you put in there?
They're not.
They haven't bought it yet. It's just
No,
contingent.
and really, the purpose of the meeting was to see if there's questions and comments, see if there's anyone who supports the idea of the anyone who doesn't. So honestly, I think it's, I mean, I don't know, are you confused in terms of what's the, I mean, it's pretty clear, it's here. I understand, by the way, and I don't want to keep away, and I do, it's not something that whenever we have development in any area of the county, this city, different cities, it's not comfortable and it's jarring to the people who have lived there before.
They're not gonna be loved.
And this is,
Why is
well, but remember, the people who lived on Oak Crest Lane, at one point in time, there wasn't Oak Crest Lane. It was a large acre estate that somebody subdivided. And that happened, I don't remember how many years ago they mentioned, but that happened, and at that time, at some point in time, people were probably saying, oh, this is ridiculous, why are we putting this subdivision?
But the issue at hand.
So I understand, my point is I understand that it's the growth pattern,
But the issue at
particularly on
hand is
infill peaks, is not overly
Maranda
popular.
doesn't build a custom home to match what Mr. Thornburg intended with Oak Crest. In order for you all to be profitable, you have to buy the 2 existing homes there and demolish them, right? So that is your problem.
Sure.
Mr. Thornburg's house has to be leveled.
Right.
And the front house has to be leveled.
Right.
So
And you're getting rid of the pond that's
if
changing.
we had a custom home builder who would leave the plan as is, they could sell Mr. Thornburg's house for $600,000 or $700,000 out of the $1.9 million and develop it as intended, as laid out right now.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not here to defend your opinion of
No,
Miranda's
it's not an
product. I mean, you
opinion.
can go out and have
Miranda builds-
houses that we're building, $1 million houses in Merritt Island, $1 million houses in Satellite
Yeah,
Beach. We have $350,000 houses in Palm
Well,
Bay.
then why not leave Mr.
So
Thornburg's
we
house
have-
there, sell it as is, and develop the street the way it was
Because they
designed?
can't build enough in there to make the money.
And the zoning changes, you have to do
I
that.
guess my question is, you know, all this discussion that we're having right now, you guys haven't taken one note.
I'm answering your question.
There's no way you can remember this.
I was actually going to ask
Oh,
you
no,
to
they
send me
know
that list
exactly.
of the 5
So about
primary concerns we have. It sounds like that's
the resistance that may have or may not have happened about the development book, that's a paper tiger. That's dead. We're real life human beings now.
That's right.
Look at the rest of our life, the quality of life
That's right.
this will have effect on us.
Yep.
Not the past.
We're not the
Yeah,
past.
because-
This development right now doesn't suit this neighborhood, and I haven't had one person say
It's not going to be
I'd like to say something. You keep using Oak Crest as the example
well, just because it's next door.
of, okay, but the older neighborhood is
Right.
behind Oak Crest. Oak Crest is fairly new. The historical neighborhood goes back.
That Eastwood Street.
Sure.
If you look at an
To the Orange Grove.
aerial map of the area,
Sure.
you know, and you look at Oak Crest, God bless the Oak Crest people, I love them, but there is, it's just no trees there.
That's
Because
right.
the developer just wiped it out and developed.
Sure.
The homes are beautiful. Every other, part has trees except for Target, and it's a big square of concrete.
Sure.
So what you're proposing, I'm imagining, is just leveling everything, right?
No.
No? Because you're calling it Palm, what village? Palm something.
Palm Village.
Palm Village.
Palm Village, okay.
Yep.
But it's a hammock, it's oak tree.
Sure.
There's oak crest.
It's almost like an extension of the village coming up.
Yeah, it's
That's
all
right.
a natural hammock. You look around you, and what you're proposing, I can just see it now. It's just, the
Lebanon.
beautiful Merritt Island homes with the palm tree in front. That's not what this is.
You gotta remember, when I went in and talked to the city, the zoning people, the girl's gonna be at first, these guys, I'm not saying you, but these people wanted to rezone it commercial, light commercial. They told them that would never fly, okay? Now, I don't know if it was the developer or the builder. He turned to them and said, how do you expect me to make any money then? That tells you everything.
Yep.
Okay, we live where we live because we love it. Okay, if it's about the money, or and when it is, none of these people want it. We're not buying anything in there. It's a way of our life where we live and enjoy it. We've got roots to the 30s.
Sure.
Back there. That's our concern with you guys. We don't want something. You can go in there and put a couple of $1 million homes if you wanted to. You talk about going to them, and they would sell.
Yep.
They would sell because they're beautiful.
Yep.
You can't find this land anymore
And
in the city.
it's the consistency of the neighborhood. You're trying to put in a horseshoe street, when if you look at Campbell Drive is a dead end.
Dead end.
And every single street on that dead end is a dead end.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
putting a U-shaped street is not consistent with the rest of the neighborhood, which we all did our research to live in this neighborhood the way it is.
Everyone is a cul-de-sac. And you have no idea how many people come down our cul-de-sac now off of McDonald's thinking they can get through. And turn around and come flying up the street.
We have to drive through the Olive Garden parking lot so that we can get out in the morning when it's rush hour. Because it's packed up.
I will say that to the best of my knowledge, the last home that's been built back in here did nothing but quietly expand and add to the value of everybody's home.
That's right.
And that was probably a $700,000 home.
It was a plot that was an acre and a half that they built a beautiful home. So what's the minimum homes you put in that property area that would satisfy you guys being able to build and adding something to the neighborhood, keeping it consistent, leaving the trees, leaving the... I have a 300-year-old tree in front of my house.
We don't want to.
And that's how long it's been around the
Sure.
dirt.
Can you keep it dead ends? Can you do it just on that street?
Well, dead ends, they have their place.
Mm-hmm.
2 access points is safer for emergency services. It's just
There's
the
only
case.
one access point. There's one access point. I know what your design is.
Yeah.
I know what your design
Yeah.
is. But on the critical path, you
There's
have
only
the
one way
road
you can
between the Olive Garden and whatever.
Right.
You can have all sorts of like access points there. You can have helipads. You can have all that stuff. But they all go.
Have to come through Campbell.
Like, let's just say.
I understand that, but I don't understand what we're talking about. If Campbell is the choke point, how does it matter? Just looking on an aerial drawing, I'd like to see.
Let's say it's an hour. Let's say it's an hour. And you can make it really big on the top with all your homes.
You're adding 50% more homes. 55 homes, add another 24, that's 50% more homes.
But my question was, how many of those homes did you build to? And then maybe nobody would find it. Fewer homes.
They're not luxury homes.
Just remember, when the construction starts, like
They
she
can
was
do anything they want to do.
People can construct on their own.
I've got a couple of questions I want to ask.
Yeah.
First one, okay. My lot is 120 by 110.
Okay.
Not what you said.
Thank you.
75 line.
Thank you.
10 by 120.
Okay.
My notes are, okay.
Yep.
You guys hear that? Acoustics are bad. His lot is 120, not 75.
Mine's 110 by 120.
Similar to.
The thing we have also in our neighborhoods, I think everybody has, is about 100 feet between the homes. They're not built right beside each other. That's what we fear is cookie cutter with 0 lot line to cram homes in. That's not conducive to what we have in our neighborhoods. Everybody's got at least 100 feet between their homes, right out.
Between their homes?
Yes, sir.
Oh.
You can
Not in
look,
between the
get off the map and go look on the road, okay? There's 100 feet between them homes. They're not crammed in beside each other. That's what people fear. I think that when you put the 24 homes that you want to put in, these people fear, when I come out off Oak Crest and get on Campbell, sometimes I have trouble getting out because there's so much traffic already on 192. But McDonald's and Olive Garden also exit onto Campbell. So you got that traffic also coming with 40 to 50 more cars that you're putting into a new neighborhood. So now you put a lot more traffic on Campbell Road, which only goes one in and one way out. McDonald's, them, you increase the amount of traffic, that's what people are afraid of. It's going to have a lot more cars on that road. It's dark. You go there at night, it's dark. There's no lights anywhere.
No lights.
Kids walk down the street in the morning, going to school buses. It is dark. That's what people are afraid of. There's so many cars, and now going to be more on that road. It has a lot of access by other people besides just the people who live in that neighborhood.
And how many people walk their dogs every day?
Oh, don't bite the dog.
So I don't think anybody here is opposed to putting something in nice that has some yard with it. Okay? That's the problem we have. We're afraid of 0 lot line stuff like everybody, because that's not conducive to what's in that neighborhood. Like I said, go there. 75 to 100 feet between these homes. It's not right beside each other. If you were to put 8 to 10 homes in and spread them out and build a better home, these people they would complain one bit.
You're giving me some real feedback, and it sounds like the current zoning district allows 10 feet setback on the side lot lines.
They have to vote it in, though, remember, the city council.
No, that's what's allowed by right. What we're proposing is going to another zoning district that allows 7.5 feet from your side property line to your house. Is that a consideration that you would like us to look into, is to go to the 10 versus the 7.5?
No, they have 150.
Look, guys, I mean, you're telling me they can't build in their current zoning district what they can allow by right, so I'm trying to be constructive here, and,
then mirror Oakcrest Lane. If you want
Oakcrest
what we
Lane has more
want.
density than we're proposing.
That's right, so I'm saying, if you want, if, I'm 110 by 130. Mirror Oakcrest Lane onto your lot, and I think people will probably agree.
The challenge to that is Oakcrest Lane was built prior to all the stormwater requirements we face today. So that 10 feet we're shaving off a lot isn't going to another house, it's going to a stormwater pond or tree preservation.
That
wasn't done the last time those houses were put in. And my house and my property suffered because of that stormwater. My property has gone down. My house has not been repaired because they didn't have those kind of things in place. We need that space. You need to have that stormwater in place. You need to have all of that in consideration. Deal with it.
Yeah.
You guys did nothing for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody lives in the old family house. The wood house around my video. Now, if you disagree, Mike, when they put in the neighborhood, their lot was already put up on blocks, I mean, their house. Okay, it was built in the 30s. Okay, so it was put up there and it flooded. That's why they built it up on blocks, this wood house. So, Mike and his mother bought the property, or their family bought the property. And when that Oakcrest was put in, they said they got more additional water coming into their property. Okay, so that's why he just came in and said that about the runoff. They sued the county, they sued the city. This went on for 10 years.
They sued the neighborhood.
They sued the neighborhood. Some of these people settled, some of the people didn't in here. So that's why this gentleman was so mad when he just came in.
Can we speak to design requirements then, and that was one of the concerns.
Thank you so much for your patience.
I promised Jeff and Mitch I would speak at this meeting because we don't live on Campbell Drive.
That's fine.
But my name is Susan Croft, and I'm one of the principals that organized the fight in June Park that defeated the developer that wanted to put in an apartment building behind Payne's Furniture. So I have a series of questions that I think are fairly important that no one's asking, and that's why I'm inviting in. One is, I can appreciate that you guys have not done a lot of preliminary work because it's expensive. This is a feel it out meeting.
Yeah.
So you don't have a site plan, you don't have an engineering firm site plan, you don't have an environmental study, you don't have a traffic study. When are you planning on doing those? That's the first of 5 questions I have. It's important for these people to know.
Sure. You want to just do one by one or whatever works best?
Yeah, one by one. When are you going to do those studies?
Sure. The environmental study and the traffic study are required for the site plan. This is there's like a planning department in the city and there's an engineering department in the city. The zoning's go through the planning department, and that's where we are right now.
So what would happen before the planning and zoning meeting at West Melbourne? Yes or
The
no?
traffic study, no.
Okay.
This is a small enough development that a traffic study is not required.
You're out of your mind.
No.
Guys, I'm telling you what the code says.
Let me
Speaking here, she's asking questions.
It's important that you know this stuff, so you know what kind of fight you're having. Okay? The second question I have is, in lieu of what June Park did in defeating a developer on the basis of it being high density incompatible for the neighborhood, what do you think your chances are when these people are, at this point, at least 5 to 7 times more organized than we were?
I don't know how I'm supposed to respond to that. Noted, I guess.
Are you going to change your plans?
We're here tonight for some.
Yes or no on that one?
Well,
are you going to change your plans or are you going to
I've heard we want nothing, so I don't get paid to draw nothing on plan. I don't think.
You're not answering my question.
question.
What was your question again?
What do you think your chances are when you're facing this kind of opposition and perhaps more?
I don't know. I don't
Do you know what
the
happened in
answer
Green Park?
for a percentage or something.
No, I'm asking if you're going to modify to fit in or not.
Well, sure. I've heard some good constructive feedback tonight that there's some issues with traffic on Campbell. There's some speeding, maybe people trying to work their way around.
And the high density, these people are going to
We're
pose.
not talking about high density now. We are low density residential.
Well, higher density than what the neighborhood.
No, it's not changing the density at all. They're not small.
Why are we zoning
You just
here?
said they're seeking rezoning.
My neighbor's 150 feet.
Let her talk.
One more.
Yes, thank you.
The traffic load that you're going to increase probably won't fit the width of that road. Right. And it may end up requiring by code to be increased. So
Absolutely. We're not
it's
looking to
road.
go around the code. If something is a code requirement, that is our
Have you looked
intention.
into that, is what I'm asking.
How about if you look into
You're not doing a traffic study, have you looked into what's going to be impacted?
My words were a traffic study is not required at this point. Those were my words.
At this point, but is it required at all?
We will see when we submit to the city.
I'm your
We're not there yet.
position, I want correct answers. That's not good.
Thank you.
Is the developer responsible for putting sidewalks and fixing the drainage up and down Campbell? Or is that the city? And burying utilities if needed? To put turn lanes in and sidewalks and things like that?
And a traffic light, crossing guard, dog park.
I'm sorry, there's like 3 questions. What was the question?
Are you or the city responsible for either putting sidewalks in Campbell because our children are walking up and down there, people walking dogs, and the traffic congestion that's going to be up between Olive Garden and McDonald's? Okay, something's got to be done from your entranceway up, because it's got a bottleneck on everybody here when they're trying to leave. So whether the drainage is bad up and down Campbell. Sure. Okay, we get flooded. Okay, so is that a responsibility for you or the city for the road, utilities, and the drainage on Campbell?
We cannot negatively impact the drainage, the stormwater, or any pedestrian access. What happens in a development like this is once the permits are issued and before the houses are constructed, there are impact fees that are required to be paid from the developer to the city. The city gets that money and determines where that goes in the city.
Yes, so if you're not responsible for that, how much would you just do your impact fees? Right?
What we do are we do our code requirements on the site. If there are improvements required at our access points, we're absolutely going to do that. There's 2 culvert bridges that are kind of crushed. Those are going to get repaired. That could very well fix part of the problem. Where this line that people worry about being a sidewalk up here towards Isla Street, that is a connection that we're looping the water line, not a pedestrian access, but it's going to make your water pressure better. You're going to get cleaner water. It's not going to be smelled. That's an improvement that we're doing.
Drink bottled water.
Sorry?
They have good water now.
We're looping the water line. Exactly.
We don't have a problem with the water.
I'm going by what the city utility department says, that it's better for them and their operations to loop the water line. So we said, you know what, absolutely. We don't want to create problems, so we're going to do that.
I'm going to address everyone in the building. I don't want to talk to them no more. I'm from June Park. I also helped defeat the current, or the last developer there. And I can look at every one of you in the eyes right now tonight and tell you the most important thing you can do. Tell every single neighbor that you know, get yourself on the street, knock on doors, spread the word, get as many people as you can to this rezoning board meeting. This is how you're going to defeat these guys. Plain and simple.
Thank you.
That's it. Don't just quit asking the questions, because all they're doing is they're spinning their wheels with you. They're going to tell you what they want you to hear, and that's the bottom line.
Thank you.
That's what you got to do.
Thank you.
We've been there, we've lived it, we've done it, and that's all I'm going to say.
Thank
Good luck to you. And you know what? I'll be at that rezoning board meeting with you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I think this meeting's over.
I I think it's over.
I'm done, you guys done?
Yep, we're done.